my video explaining. Here's my video now explaining from an owner's point of view the owning experience of a Triumph Bobber and what it's been like and the cost and all that kind of stuff. So first of all, if you're thinking of buying a Bobber, cool, good choice. You're probably somebody that maybe has a wife and kids and they are very much against you ever taking anybody on the back of a bike. So therefore you don't need a back seat. So the alternative to this is the Speedmaster, which has the full like double seat kind of stuff, but it loses a bit of coolness. It doesn't have the floating seat like what the Bobber has. So there's a little bit of something which is less cool with the Speedmaster. However, Speedmaster may be considered more comfortable and easier to get bags on the back, and if you are ever going to take a passenger. In my case, that's never going to happen. I'm never going to take a passenger. Partly because it's cheaper for my insurance to not include pillions in anything, and I don't really want the responsibility of ever having somebody on the back and anything going wrong. So, me, solo rider, happy days, don't need to get one with a seat on the back. One of the first things I'll say about the bike is its weight. So it's not a sports bike. If you're upgrading from a beginner bike in any sort of way, you can get your 125cc motorbikes. This is the coolest thing I think. You can get your CBT license and ride a 125cc motorbike, which is maybe weighs 130 kilograms. Then the day you pass your big bike license, you can go buy this. Granted, you can even get bigger bikes than this, but I just think this is the coolest thing, that it's straight away you can go buy a 1200cc engined beast that this is, and drive out of the showroom straight away once you've got your big bike license. And it's actually very user friendly, especially for beginners. It's nice and low down. You're always flat-footed every time you stop, but it's particularly, again, for a new rider or anybody that's riding on places where there might be slightly gravelly grounds and all that kind of stuff. Having good foot contact on the ground is great. It's also quite a heavy bike. So as I say, you go from a 125cc, which may weigh 130, 140 kilograms. This comes in 240, around about there. It is a heavy lump, which is surprising because there's so little of it, but it's still a heavy bike. But that, when you start riding it, you don't feel the weight when you're riding. Actually, that's a lie. You probably do feel it is quite a stable bike, you could say. But because you're so low down, that you're not too worried about dropping it on either side. It is heavy. It's not for the light-hearted, but you can easily, because it's so low down, you've got good catchability. If you're on a very tall bike and suddenly you start going over, there's a lot of weight, very easy to drop. So this is a bike which, if you're worried about dropping a bike, this one you probably have a long time to, and the handlebars are good to really grab the bike before it falls down without it crushing your leg or anything like that. But if it does fall down your leg, it is 240 kilograms onto your leg. So that is definitely something to be aware of. Next thing to consider is the price. So this brand new, when you got it, is around about £13,000 of motorbikes. So that is quite, well, I thought it was an expensive motorbike until I started also getting interested in Ducatis. And Ducatis, £13,000 is like their beginner price. And so for me, I thought that's actually not too expensive for something which I consider to be a piece of art. Just everything about it is an enjoyable looking thing. So the lack of nonsense going up here, there's no wires going everywhere. There are wires, but they're very well contained and hidden out of view. So they're not kind of like I've ridden lots of different motorbikes over the time. Some of them, there's wires coming out here, wires coming out there. Some of you can't even see the dashboard and all that kind of stuff. And just from the dial, the analog dial, to the engine, to the exhaust, to all this stuff, you're not only buying a motorbike, but a piece of art and a piece of audio ecstasy when you turn this on and you hear the engine going. Oh, it sounds great, even with the standard stock exhaust pipes, which muffle the sound quite a bit. It still sounds just brilliant. So it's a joy to own, to look at, to have parked in the garage, just to turn on. Never mind even riding. It's just a joy in every way of ownership there. Certainly for me anyway. What I will say with that is also when I was buying this, you can get it on PCP. So I put down a deposit of a couple £1,000. I can't remember what it was. My previous motorbike, which was a Kawasaki, used that as deposit, something. So I'm actually only paying about £90 a month for this for the next 3 years. And then I can pay like £9,000 off the final amount or something, or I can hand it back. I don't think this is a bike that I'm going to hand back. So a lot of people will buy motorbikes, have it for the 3 years of the PCP and be like ready to just hand it back. I don't think so. It has run flawlessly. I've done modifications to it. I've decatted it. I've taken the catalytic converter out. I've put on shorty exhausts on there. I've got to know the bike. I've taken off the radiator and put on the decat and all that kind of stuff. Me and this bike have a relationship going on. So I don't see me ever selling this bike. I'll happily just pay off the final payment and keep this. I'm not doing a huge number of miles on it. I've done about 3,500, 4,000 miles in the 2 years of ownership. Just don't want to ride it in winter. I'm not needing a commuting bike. I'm riding for joy, for pleasure, for fun, not because I actually need to go anywhere. So it has done a lot of miles. So it gets serviced once a year. First service with Triumph in Edinburgh was free, I think, or maybe like £90 or something. I can't remember. Second service after the 1 year or after 10,000 kilometres was about £250, and then next service, which will be happening at the end of this year, they redo the brake fluid and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's around about £300 to get the service. Other than that, and fuel and cleaning products, lots of cleaning products. Just the joy of cleaning this and learning all about the different types of cleaning fluids, from waxes to polishes, to how to get the shine on your exhaust there, and how there's different products for kind of shiny plastics, matte paints, matte shiny chrome metals, how there's different aluminium metals, steel metals, all that kind of stuff. Great fun getting to know all the different cleaning products and becoming an expert detailer of the motorbike whenever you get it. One of the other things is that, as I said, it's obviously not for carrying a passenger. However, I have gone and put on what we call bags. I can't remember if there's actually got a word for it. These are pretty old school kind of style bags, and you have to buy a metal adapter holder thing to strap it on to the bike. And I've got these, so these are not really made for this bike in any sort of way, but it just means that if I am then going to go for a ride up to, let's say, my parents' house. Yeah, as I said, if I'm going on any sort of ride, I did a ride up to the Highlands, about 150 miles in one go. It was actually surprisingly comfortable. The seat, some people think the seat looks uncomfortable. It has proved to be very, very comfortable for me. Some bikes that I've had with big fat saddles have actually been more painful for my tailbone and my coccyx. But with this, for some reason, it's been incredibly comfortable for my back and spine and coccyx scenario that I have here. So if you're looking at it and think, oh, it looks uncomfortable, I'd rather get the Speedmaster, that may not be the case. The Speedmaster is actually more painful for me because it's got the Speedmaster has a little bump in their seat to make it more comfortable for your tail. For me, that just puts pressure on my tailbone. And I was just like, this is not comfortable. But for me, doing a long 4-hour ride with this, absolutely fine, not a problem. So don't look at this and think, oh, I couldn't do a long ride. You can easily do 4 hours. You know, obviously it needs a bit of a stretch, but the riding position is you're not bent over. The only thing is, because you are upright like this, you are getting hit by the wind. So when you are doing 60-70 miles an hour, you are getting a 60-70 mile an hour wind in your face, and your hands are going to be a bit tired because you're literally holding on. But certainly for the shorter trips, this position is quite a masculine position, quite a manly position. It definitely it is not a dainty little bike. It is very manly. So at no point are you thinking I have to be nimble. You're just like, I'm the king of the road here, and just the kind of knee hip back position, very comfortable for me, even with rucksack on my back. One of the things I love is just the simplicity of the dial. Is literally just the speed with some digital details there. I like how it's also got cruise control. If you are actually going to use cruise control, that's quite handy. And it's got a traction control which you can turn on or off, or have it in rain or normal road settings there. But other than that, just look at how clean this area is. You've got your brake fluid and one wire coming out, and your your clutch on the other side. That's it. All the other cables are actually very well hidden in here and there, but it just means it's a clean, this is what I like, it's just a piece of art. It's just like a wire for this brake and a wire for the other brake and the ABS over there, and then it's just how there's just nothing else to it. It's not just like a whole pile of wires and cables, which I had a Honda CMX or something like that, which was like their cruiser 1100cc engine, and it was just a mess of engine and wires. This, you can really see the air comes in, cools down on the radiator, but then also goes through the fins of the engine. So it doesn't, unless you're going through start-stop traffic, it doesn't get too hot there at all. But I am revving it usually all the time in start-stop traffic. The version I've got, the 2023 year. Now this one is quite important because it comes with the fatter, chunky front tire. It has double disc brakes as well, and compared to the new, I think the 2025 version, all it has is the lambda sensor going into the exhaust manifold there, and that, I think, on the new ones means that if you try and decat it requires a whole ECU upgrade and all that kind of stuff. So this one, this year, the 23, and I think the 24, avoided some of the European regulations on ECU management and modifying all that kind of stuff. So after that, it's a bit more of a hassle to decat. But yeah, effectively you can take the catalytic converter out of here and you put in a thing called an X-pipe. And again, I did a shorter exhaust there. Motone, I don't know if Motone actually are allowed to sell these exhausts anymore, because of, again, EU rules and regulations. There are lots of wires and cables and all, but it's all tucked away really well in there. And also, yeah, it's all hidden. It's all hidden, so it's just a clean looking bike. You've also got the steering lock up there and just a simple front light up there. I'd say some people want to modify the indicators, because they do kind of look a little bit out of place to the rest of the bike. Otherwise, the position, the view from the rider's position, which is this, as I said, is just a great place. No distractions, not 15 million buttons. It's literally on, mode, which is rain or road. That's it. You don't really even ever need to press that. Hazards, you never really press that either. And then you've got your, obviously, your indicator, cruise control, information. So that changes whether it shows you your revs or your mileage and all that kind of stuff, and lights and horn. So not just non-fussy, which is what I like. Also, you can easily flip these mirrors upside down. No problem. I've added on these little things as well because I found them and I thought that would be cool. Clearly not. And the fact that it's symmetrical as well. So another bike which I had a look at was the Harley Davidson, and the Harley Davidson's got a really good side on this side, but on the other side it was just a mess of wires and cables. So again, I am looking at this not so much just as a motorbike or a thing to get me from place to place, but as a piece of art. That's why I've actually coloured in with my children's colouring in pens some lettering on the tyre there. Not very well, I'll admit, but I like it. I think it just adds a little bit extra colour and pizzazz going on there. But yeah, certainly you can easily get the bags on the back for a trip for the weekend up there, and you get a tank bag as well. You know, just simple tank bag on the front, magnetic one will happily stick onto that, no probs. So the mods, just to run over, mods, Shorty's exhaust make an amazing sound. Decat definitely increases performance, certainly at the top end as well. When adding both of these, there's no need for doing a ECU map. You just do a thing called a 15-minute tune where you turn it on, let it get hot, wait until the fan turns on, and then turn it off, and that resets the ECU, whatever. You can also get new performance air filters, which are about 110. But so the exhaust, these were about 110. The Cat was, or the X pipe was about 110 as well, and you can get air filters for about 110 pounds going on there. Now, expensive stuff to think about. So the more expensive mods that you can do are suspension upgrade. I think there's I can't remember, it might be Fox that makes them. So the suspension, you can get ones which are red, which are obviously more cool. They're definitely getting more expensive. You're talking multiple hundreds, maybe 400 or something for them. And you can get an upgraded seat, and you can get a springer set where they put a kind of a spring on this bit here. I think you just take that bit off or something. But again, you're talking quite a bit of money to get that sent over there. And for me, I haven't felt that I've needed to do any of that. I thought that has been absolutely fine. One of the things which does look good, but I don't think is all that great, is the brakes. Although they are Brembo and they are double disc brakes, I think the braking performance is not the best, especially at the rear. The rear is also a disc at the back, but it just doesn't do a lot. Maybe it's because it's a heavy bike, maybe because I'm a heavy rider. But after riding sports bikes and stuff, going onto this, you're like, holy moly, you have to pull that brake cable really hard to get it to slow down. So again, that's another one of the manly things about it. You have to use a lot of force there. Same with the clutch. It's not a hydraulic clutch in any sort of way. You're literally pulling a cable, which is coming down here and pulling something down here. I can't see it. And it's, yeah, if you're in city start-stop stuff, your hand will get a little bit exhausted. So yeah, so mods, exhaust, Cat, suspension, seat. You can get a wavy disc for the front, don't know if it makes it better, and possibly indicator updates. People do also do a thing where you get a shorter tail, or completely remove the tail, which is quite an intensive job because you've got all the wires for the lights, for the what do you call that, number plate at the back. There's also a thing to take the airbox out. So there's anyway, won't go on. There's loads of things you can modify with this. Everything gets more expensive, but the main thing for the sound and performance, exhaust, Cat, done. Okay, so this is some tight traffic. So what I can say for certain is that after owning this for 2 years, I have not got any sort of buyer's remorse. I haven't got any second thoughts. I do want the idea of a sports bike as well, so a Ducati would be quite a nice thing to have in the garage with this. This has just got such a cool presence, cool feeling, enjoyment ride situation for me that I am definitely going to keep this. Just pay off the finance and have it just owning as a piece of art. You know, I'm like Alpha Dad. You know, who's the coolest dad in the street? I am, because I'm the guy with this bike. You know, other people with their sports bikes and all that stuff, like, yeah, what you do dressing up in your leathers. I can just go out in my jeans and still feel cool in this. So yeah, it just oozes coolness. Especially if you don't. If you don't ooze coolness, you can put a helmet on and you can get on this bike, and then you become cool. And you feel cool as well. And you sound, if you like the sound of the rip-roaring exhaust, this is one of the easiest ones to make so loud and with very little expense compared to like a Harley Davidson, which sound great, but was to get the kind of Vance and Hinde exhaust, very expensive there. So very cheap to modify, lots of modification abilities, which get more and more expensive. But ownership wise, it's been a joy, and and as I say, it's just a joy of something to just even own just in the garage. You know, if it becomes winter time, I can still come in here and enjoy this. So yeah, if you're thinking of getting one, get one.